Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello students, welcome to Swayam Prabha, channel 15. The course title is Human Resource Management, lecture title Training and Development Part 1. This is module 9, lecture 3. I am Dr. Shoma Sengupta, Associate Professor Commerce, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. In this module, we will cover the following topics: evaluation of training, role-based training, competency-based training, and training process outsourcing. Evaluation of training. We have already discussed under the steps of designing training program, evaluation of training or training effectiveness. Training program is evaluated to find its effectiveness. The benefits of evaluation of training are: it provides useful information about the effectiveness of training, helps to identify the shortcomings in the training program and to remove those shortcomings, enables an organization to monitor the training program, enables to design and modify future training program, and helps in determining the level of integration of training program with other functions of human resource management. The methods of evaluating training effectiveness. Training needs to be evaluated from three perspectives. In terms of effectiveness of course, that is whether it is cost effective or not. In terms of learning on the parts of learners, whether they have learned or not. In terms of change or impact it has made on individuals and organizational performance, that means in terms of their behavior, the productivity of the organization, output of the organization. Methods to evaluate the effectiveness of training are reaction method, test-retest method, pre-post performance method, experimental or control group method. The reaction method. It is the most typical evaluation method. Managers and a group of trainees are asked to express their opinions about training effectiveness through a questionnaire. Reactions, while easy to acquire, are the least valid measure, as they are affected by subjectivity of those who give such opinions or information. Opinions are influenced by factors which have a little to do with the training's effectiveness. So it is not a very good method of evaluation of training. Nevertheless, it is used widely in after different type of training programs. The test-retest method. Participants are given a test before the beginning of the training program. After the program is completed, the participants retake the test. Improvement in the test scores is taken as indicative of effectiveness of training. 4 problems arise in such type of method. Test may not be valid because other factors also affect it, or it might not be measuring what it purposes or purports to measure. Increase in test scores may be due to the causes other than the training given. Difficulty arises in attempting to substantiate that change in the test score will be test scores will be reflected in performance. So it is not necessary that the test score will be reflected in the performance of the employees as well. Attributing the change fully to the instruction may be a fallacy. So other exogenous and endogenous factors may have impacted on the performance of the employee rather than only the training. So since you are not controlling the environment here. So this is the test-retest method. Pre-post performance method. This is similar to test-retest method. But this approach attempts to correct the flaws of the first approach, that is the test-retest method. Each participant is evaluated prior to the training and rated on actual job performance. So here we are not only thinking about test, we are thinking in terms of performance. After instruction is completed, the participant's performance is re-evaluated. The improvement in performance is assumed to be attributed to training. In contrast with test retest method, pre-post performance method deals directly with job behavior. Experimental control group method. Now, in the previous methods, we have seen that you are not controlling the environment, so you cannot attribute the improvement in performance or scores totally on the basis of training, because other factors might have impacted their performance. So, for that, there is an experimental control group method, a recourse. Most sophisticated and preferred evaluation approach, two groups are established which are comparable as to skills, intelligence, and learning abilities. They are evaluated on actual job performance. So there are two groups of trainees. The trainees are divided into two groups, or employees are divided into two groups, and one will be your experimental group, and other will be the control group. The members of control group work on the job but do not undergo training. The experimental group is given the training. At the conclusion of the training, the two groups are re-evaluated. So their performance is compared to find out whether the experimental group has learned anything out of training program or not. So in this experimental control group method, if the training is really effective, the experiment group's performance will have improved, and its performance will be substantially better than that of the control group. It controls the impact of other factors, the factors other than training program that influence the job performance. This is considered inappropriate because of two reasons. One is the cost and the time involved in creating the groups and all, and it is unethical to withhold training a group of employees. So this is about experimental control group method. It can be considered as one of the best methods of evaluating a training program. Now, problems in evaluation. Serious effort is not made to evaluate the effectiveness of training, because it is presumed that any type of training will be worthwhile and it will improve the performance. So that kind of fallacy, that kind of thinking is there, and because of that, evaluation of training program is not done seriously. Also, some managers believe that spending a huge amount on training will necessarily improve the performance, so why to evaluate it? Training benefits cannot be substantiated. So these are the thinking of people, and because of that, training evaluation is not done properly. But whenever there are budgetary constraints, so what happens? You cut down on training because you you think that this is the most unnecessary expenditure. So when budgetary constraints are there, training expenditure is the first one that is reduced. Even when some attempts at evaluating training programs are made, there are different problems with the evaluation. One may be focus is on criteria that do not provide an accurate picture of the benefits of training. Errors in evaluating training programs are asking the wrong questions, like on entertainment value of the program. Did you like the program or not? Enjoy it? So these are wrong questions. On skill gains that are not behaviorally identified. Questioning the wrong areas or methods while obtaining information. Self-appraisal basis may be unreliable and invalid, because if you are giving them self-appraisal forms, then they will always say that they have learned out of the training program. Failure to obtain inputs from superiors and subordinates on the behavior changes noticed due to training. Failure to control extraneous factors, the outside factors. Other factors can enter into and distort the evaluation. Failure to use appropriate control groups. Randomly assigning individuals to training program may affect the evaluation. The other errors are failure to assure high quality data collection efforts. Non-responses from participants result in missing data. failure to make appropriate statistical adjustments, evaluation may be biased, failure to provide results in meaningful terms to intended audiences, wrong information is collected and given, report written in technical jargon which is difficult to understand, magnifying the findings and ignoring the potential problems. Only the positive findings and not the areas needing improvement are reported, overgeneralizing the findings, implications that what works in one organization may work in another also, so that also will generate errors in the evaluation of training programs. Now we will discuss the new types of training programs which are becoming very popular nowadays. One is role-based training. Now in role-based training, it puts the training in the context of specific role. So you have to find out what role the employee will take up in the organization and accordingly training him. So that is role-based training. Then you will impart knowledge to him or train him the best way to perform in that role. So he will excel in that role because he has undergone a training program specifically catering to this area only, that is performing that role. Now, role-based training allows the employer to deliver highly customized training contents to the workforce in an efficient way. It saves time and cost by a more effective implementation as it requires little or no refresher training at all. To directly support trainees' particular situation also, this is helpful. Some organizations, they do not go for a role-based training. They shy away from role-based training on the grounds that it costs more, takes longer to produce results. Now the benefits of role-based training, it solves real problems. By examining each role and talking to people in that role and their managers, what you are doing, you are making it more effective. Learning designers create focused training that meets real needs rather than trying to cover everything in very broad sense or overly broad strokes. Personalized training is there. Each employee is recommended or assigned training based on skills and knowledge needed in one's role. Adding in a mechanism to test what learners already knows takes personalization to another level. So you are finding out what they already know and personalize the training program for them. Anticipate and fill skill gaps. By focusing narrowly on needs of a role, managers can examine the skills needed in the moment as well as how the role is changing. They can then identify existing skill gaps, and anticipate and train for skills that will be needed due to changing technology or shift in that role. Another benefit is prepares high performers for advancement. Tailoring training to a role allows for preparing star employees to take on new roles by creating an individual learning path that fills any gaps in their skills and experience. It saves money also. It might be costly to create short, narrowly focused training for each role than to have to constantly update massive learning courses each time one element changes. So it saves the time of the organization, money of the organization. Improve engagement. Training has to be relevant to the learners, then only they will learn, they will enjoy. Offering learners focused training that is directly applicable on the job and creating personalized learning paths will increase learner engagement. They will spend more time on the training, pay close attention, and potentially improve their performance as a result. So that was role-based training, and similar to that is competency-based training. Now there the focus was on role, here the focus was wider on the competence of the employees. So what is competence? It is a combination of awareness, skills, knowledge and attitudes that enables an individual to perform a job to the standards required for successful job performance. Competence-based program aims at increasing employees' current job performance, prepare them for changing job requirements, Introduce new tools or technology in the workplace. So competence-based training involves focus on specific competencies or skills. Specific competencies or skills is broken down into much smaller units that are focused on one single key skill. So the total competence which you require is broken down in different smaller units or kind of a modules. Learner has to demonstrate his or her mastery of that single skill or competency before continuing to the next segment or training. Skills are put together into modules, and typically at the end the learner receives some form of qualification or certification. So different modules are there. In each of the module, a smaller unit is smaller unit training in smaller unit is imparted to the trainee. So once you complete that module, you move to the next one, and when you finally complete the whole of the course, a certificate will be given to you. Also this is also called outcome based learning or training, or skills based learning or training. The rules to be followed for competency based training are: teach the skills they will use to solve day-to-day job requirements. So if they can relate it to that, then naturally they will be interested in learning. Employees should be active participants during the training process. Stimulate employees' interest by making the objectives clearly understood and results of the training well defined. Use group training exercises to make training enjoyable. Trainees share each other's experiences and insights. Encourage employees to put their training to use while performing the actual jobs. A learning environment must be supportive and positive, where employees feel comfortable and not threatened to freely express their ideas and ask for help when they need it. The benefits of competency-based training are time management. Since the modules are broken down into smaller units, learners are able to simply complete a unit on as needed basis, making it easier to fit it into the busy work. So whatever module suits them for their current job, we can learn that particular module along with their job. User directed modules are self-paced, allowing more flexibility. Reduce cost, modules used are less expensive to implement than a larger training program. So you don't have to undergo the whole of the training program at one go. You can, whatever module is suitable for your current job, you pick it up, you learn, you clear that one, get a certificate and move on to the next one. Allows personalization, allowing an individual to skip the modules also. Flexible, it is used on its own or in conjunction with other learning methodologies. Better retention is there because you are learning by modules in short duration courses. Workplace integration tied to career progression and pay raises. Now come to the steps in the process of competency based training. The first step is determining if training will resolve the performance problem. Performance problems, they stem from individuals' shortcomings in knowledge, skill or attitude. So we know that if there is any shortcoming in their skill and knowledge, then there will be performance problem. Performance problem can be solved by management action, like modifying the job descriptions or work requirements to align with the departmental and organizational need, changing performance review criteria, changing tools or equipment provided to workers, modifying reward or pay systems. By doing all this, if performance can be improved, then training is not required. So if managerial action improves performance, training is not required. But if by doing all this also performance is not improving, there is a requirement of enhancing the skill and knowledge of the employees, and then training is required. The second step is determine measurable job requirements. Determine the target employee or employees, find out the competency needed to accomplish work, assess whether workers are meeting these requirements or not. The third step is examine conditions in which workers will apply their learning. Now, trainees should have real life situation to apply what they have learned in training. So in that case, the motivation will be higher. Determine what they already know. So you do a survey kind of thing to find out their current level of competency. Then you can find out the shortcoming and you can create a training module or program for that. The fifth step is identify productive performers and their common competencies. So you will identify the performers and what competencies they already have. It is applicable to position or positions for which training is being administered. Isolate measurable and objective performance criteria or indicators. Compare productive employees and average performers. Determine the competencies that set them apart, the achievers and the underperformers. Determine their individual strengths and knowledge base. In the seventh step, determine measurement rubrics or criteria to assess competencies. Behavioral rubrics or skill tests and certification measure work output and work quality of work. So these you have to decide whether behavioral or skill, whether work output or quality of work matters to you. So accordingly criteria will be set. Identify competency objectives to be visible in employees performance. Objectives should be clearly outlined in competency based terms. Now ninth step, determine how training results will be measured. So that will the improvement in their job performance will be an indicator or any other thing. So that criteria has to be decided. 10th step, create instructional content. So managers they either create the content on their own, the modules on their own, or they outsource the process to some service provider. The last step of competency based training is effectively administer the instruction content through traditional classroom setting, on the job training and mentoring, online learning, broadening knowledge, providing relevant articles in books, best practices or other exemplary knowledge in internal databases, external websites, video and audio files, coaching or mentoring either internally or externally, watching and monitoring successful performers, participating in centers of excellence or competency centers or capability centers. So this is the whole process of competency based training, and this is very effective way of learning for the trainees because they can undergo a particular training module and get certificate for it, and as per the requirement of their job they can select the module, they can skip the module, and or they can undergo the whole of the training program by completing all the modules and get certified as a trained employee. Another area of training is training process outsourcing. Now, you know that to maintain a training workshop or place in the organization is very difficult, very time consuming, expensive. You have to keep whole of the training staff on the rolls, and you have to provide all the benefits that you are giving to other employees also, and it becomes very expensive, and sometimes the training program is not taken up with that kind of zeal, so the money also goes waste, and all the trainers, in-house trainers, might not be competent enough or specialized enough for the newer skills or technologies coming in and around the organization. So for that matter, what you can do is you can save your time, money, concentrate on your major work or core area or core work, and outsource the training program to an outside agency who will be the service provider. So this is the training process outsourcing. So it is getting employees trained by an outside agency, and this is called training process outsourcing. Now there are problems with in-house training program, as we have discussed. It is tedious, recurring and time consuming. Cost burden of maintaining staff, infrastructure, conducting the program, calling the experts. So all this is a big hassle and time consuming and costly affair. Specialized skills and services may not be available in-house. So that's why we outsource it to outside agency, and the benefits of outsourcing are there will be cost saving because you don't have to maintain all those services and staff in the organization. Only you have to pay the charges to an outside agency, and you can even change the agency if you are not satisfied with a particular agency. So expertise of outside outsourcing agency you will get. No need to invest in training infrastructure. Management can concentrate on core business area and outsource the training program to the outside agency. So this is whole benefits of training process outsourcing. So to summarize this lecture, we can say that the evaluation of training is an important, it provides useful data and monitors cost of training. There are many problems faced in actually evaluating the training effectiveness. Two main types of training are role-based training and competency-based training. And nowadays, people are getting, organizations are getting the training program from outside agencies. So getting employees trained by an outside agency is called training process outsourcing. For reference, there is a book by DeCenzo and Robbins, Human Resource Management, and another book by C.B. Gupta, Modern Human Resource Management. Thank you very much, students. So this was Module 9, Lecture 3 of Training and Development, Part 1.